Hello again, my name's Gabe Zolna. I got a question. What do you think the average Iraqi would say if you asked him or her if their life is better now than it was under the rule of Saddam Hussein and his two crazy sons? You know what I think they'd say? No comparison. It was much better back then. Who changed everything for the Iraqis? Who changed everything for the entire Middle East? Well, there's only one person that I think can be blamed for it. And that's George W. Bush. As crazy as Saddam Hussein was, and I've made a number of videos on this particular topic, what Saddam Hussein did was he kept the lid on the entire Middle East. Everyone was afraid of him. Iran was afraid of him. Turkey was afraid of him. Every Middle East country, Jordan was afraid of him. Qatar was afraid of him. And what George W. Bush did is he opened Pandora's box. And I've made mention of that in previous videos as well. By opening up Pandora's box, these other countries started to rise, like Iraq, like Afghanistan, like Pakistan. They no longer had Saddam Hussein to worry about. And again, Saddam Hussein wasn't an angel. He used to take his sons down to the prisons, and his sons would take target practice shooting convicted individuals. But what were they convicted of? It didn't matter. The point is they were being killed. But how many people in Iraq have died? Never mind our military. How many Iraqis have died over the past 13 years? How many of them would not have died, percentage-wise, if George W. Bush didn't do what he did, which is start a 13-year war? You know, I've spoken about this before as well, and I said that you'd think that America, their leadership, if that's what you want to call it, would have learned. They would have recognized that you can't beat people that have an ideology that provides them with heaven, virgins. You can't beat them if they relish and look forward to death. We saw that with Russia. You know why Russia lost in Afghanistan? You know who created the Taliban? We did. Russia lost because America provided these desert rats, these cave dwellers, Stinger missiles. And what did they do with the Stinger missiles? Well, they shot down the Russian helicopters. Helicopters are probably the only way you can travel in that very, very rough country. Mountainous, treacherous. You take out the helicopters, you take out their ability to wage war. We did that. We gave the Taliban weapons to defeat the Russians. And they used those same weapons to defeat us. I'm 100% convinced that Benghazi was established by Barack Hussein Obama to supply weapons to the enemies of America. That's why Benghazi was there. That's why you had the CIA annex with all those employees. They were shipping weapons into Turkey, and from Turkey they were being disseminated into Syria and into Afghanistan. How many of our military lost their lives or lost their limbs based on the weapons that Barack Hussein Obama arranged to ship through Benghazi into Turkey, into Syria, and into Pakistan or Afghanistan? It's completely insane. You know, I did a couple of videos recently and I talked about Obama having a tete-a-tete on a golf course with the Malaysian Prime Minister. It's completely crazy. Here you've got the President of the United States spending, I don't know how many hours, talking to the Prime Minister of Malaysia, who wants to bring about Sharia law, who is proud of the fact that ISIS beat the Iraqis. Folks, are you not sort of getting the picture here? You have to take a look at where this country is headed. You know, I've said that I don't think we've had an election where the people elected the representatives. They've been selected for us. This whole thing with Jeb Bush being the front runner. Let's take a look at Jeb Bush. His wife's Hispanic. Obviously, Jeb Bush will be in favor of immigration reform. He also is in favor of our children being brainwashed. Why would we want him to lead the country? I don't. You don't. But we don't have a choice. Again, our representatives, and this isn't just for the Oval Office, this is for most key positions. A guy like Senator McCain, who should have been put into a convalescent home for having lost his cheese off his cracker, wouldn't be where he is if he didn't have a big, powerful machine wanting him there, because he serves their purpose. He's a warmonger. That's what he is. This whole thing is crazy. And again, if you were to ask the Iraqis, are they better off now than they were before George W. Bush invaded? They'd say no. Was Desert Storm any of our business when the first Bush went ahead and attacked Saddam Hussein? What were we doing? We were trying to save Kuwait from having their oil stolen? What business is it of ours? How many of our soldiers died to push Saddam Hussein back? And when we pushed him back, we still left him in power. How insane was that? And look what happened when Bush's son became president. The insanity continued. I don't know, folks. You know, when George Bush was talking to the children in the classroom and he was told about the Twin Towers, did he react the way any normal person would react? My son called me, and I was asleep when he called me. And he said, Dad, 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 turn on the TV, turn on the TV. And I said, Aaron, I was asleep. He said, Dad, turn on. He was crying. My son doesn't cry very often. I turned on the TV, and I couldn't believe what I was watching. I thought it was a movie, a horror movie. And then the world changed. The question you have to ask yourself, was that part of the plan? Were those pilots any different than the pilots on Flight 370 or 8501? They're committed to their cause? I don't know, folks. All I know is the world's changed pretty much forever, and it need not to have changed. As crazy as Saddam Hussein was, he kept the lid on. And President George W. Bush took it off. He personally is responsible for the deaths of thousands of our military. He's personally responsible for the maiming and crippling of tens of thousands of our military. You know, I did a video on this a while ago as well, and I talked about how he has a tete-a-tete with the wounded at his ranch every year. He's got it like a mountain bike race. I think that's his way of trying to alleviate his own guilt for what he's done to so many people. They didn't need to go to war. We didn't need to be in Vietnam. You have politicians that wouldn't send their sons, but they have no problem sending your sons or your daughters. What should happen if we had a real president, which we don't have, which we'll probably never have again, not in my lifetime and not in your lifetime, the borders should be sealed, tighter than a drum. We don't need people coming back and forth from all over the world every day. Shut it down. Protect our way of life. But once again, that'll never happen. It's too late. We've been infiltrated by design. No different than what Barack Hussein Obama's done. Every single government agency has been corrupted. Yeah, cancer has metastasized. Obama controls every single government agency. They all do what he wants. They don't do what you want. They do what he wants. Is he going anywhere? I don't think so. I don't think he'll ever leave. I guess we'll see soon enough, won't we? Yeah. If our military won't save us, then we can't be saved. And it doesn't look like our military will save us. I guess I've rambled on long enough. I started off by wondering if you would ask an Iraqi citizen if they're better off now than they were then. What do you think they'd say? I told you what I think they'd say.